In this video, we're going to talk about control structures in a query statement, although I use the term loosely because we're not programming, we're not writing stored procedures, we're simply writing SQL query statements, right? Select, from, where, group by, having, order by. So there's a limited ability to do some if statement kind of things in a select statement. And so my first example, what you're seeing on the screen is what's called a case statement, or a case expression, probably to be more accurate. A case expression basically is a glorified if statement. I can take a look at a column, in this case the state column of the customer table, and depending on the value that I see, I can perform different actions. So I'm saying if I see the initials FL, I'm going to spell out Florida, GA, Georgia, CA, California. Otherwise, if it's not those three, then I'm just going to put in the 2-digit characters. All right. This entire case statement acts as a column, if you will, in our select statement or in our output. It's going to be its own column of output. So because of that, you put a comma before it. If we were to have any additional columns to display, we'd put a comma after it. All right. So when I run this, here's what it looks like. So now I'm seeing Florida is spelled out. The others are not spelled out. It's kind of a silly example, but I think you get the case. Now there's two ways to type a case expression. That's hard to say, expression. The first one we just demonstrated, we literally put something next to the word case, very often a column, and then you're comparing to distinct values. All right, a search case expression is we don't put anything next to the word case, but we're looking at an expression and then trying to compare, in this case, to a range, right? If the retail minus cost is greater than 10 or greater than 5. So in this example, I have retail cost, retail minus cost, right? We're looking at the profit of books. And again, this is in our select statement going to be one column to display. And we are simply saying when retail minus cost is greater than 10, right? We're not looking at a distinct value. We're looking at a range of values and then saying it's excellent, greater than 5 is good, else it's poor. I'm aliasing my column, so I don't have to see the whole big case expression up there. What did I just do there? I lost my comma. Okay, so I have, and then after, just to demonstrate, I'm putting the title of the book. So notice I put a comma after my case expression and then put another column. So when I run that, I'll get the retail, the cost, the profit, and then my rating and the title of the book. Now, one thing to be careful is these operate from top to bottom, meaning the order you put things can make a difference. If you were to say if it's greater than 5 and put the word good, and greater than 10 and put the word excellent, well, because you have it in this order, everything is going to end up being, anything greater than 5 is going to end up being good, including those things greater than 10, right? Because obviously something greater than 10 is greater than 5. So just recognize it processes top to bottom, and the first thing that's true, it's going to use that word and move on. So you just have to pay attention to the order that you put your when clause, your when conditions. And so I'll switch this around. All right, one more example. Just we can use aggregate functions in here, right? I got first name, last name, and how many books. We're going to sum the quantity. And we're going to group by last name and first name because that's the columns up here in our select. How many books did everybody purchase? If it was more than 5, we're going to type good. If it was more than 3, okay, else it's poor. So I'll run that. And there we go. So now I can see how many books people purchased and then put it in a rating column right down here. All right, now there's one other way of doing similar kinds of things, and that's this if function, although it's much more limited in that basically I do an expression, some kind of test, and depending on that expression or test, I can do one thing if it's true and one thing if it's false. Whereas the case statement, I can have multiple when clauses in here. But with this if function, I can only do I can look at this expression and do one thing if true, one thing if false. So just a real quick example, I'm just saying, is 5 greater than 10? Obviously not. So when I run that, it's going to display false. Is 10 greater than 5? The answer is true. Whoop. So anyway, it ends up showing true down here. So using an example similar to what we did with the case, I'm going to take a look at my order totals. All right. And for whatever reason, here's my if expression. I'm saying if the order total is greater than 100, comma, display the customer number. Otherwise, just leave that field null. All right. And just like the case expression, all of this is one column, if you will, that's going to display from our select. So I have an order number, a sum, and this is our third one. I've aliased it. So now when I run that, it can only do two things. Show me null or show me the customer number based on the order total. So both of these are fairly easy to use. Just pay attention to your commas and when do I start a column and when am I ending it, and putting your alias in there. And recognize that the case is going to be a little more powerful only because I can do multiple when clauses, whereas this if function, I got only two choices, true or false. What am I going to do if my expression is true, and what am I going to do if it's false?